G'day everyone, Nathan here at Glass for Classics. Now we're going to run you through today fitting the frames and runners onto your 1964 through to 1968 Mustang Door glass. Now the process is going to be exactly the same whether you've got a hard top, you've got a fastback or got a convertible. The frames and the runners all mount in the exact same way. These happen to be for a 67 to 68 fastback, so we're going to show you on this today. All you're going to need is a couple of very basic hand tools, just a rubber mallet, razor blade and a pair of scissors, and some tape. So this is the setting tape that we're going to use to actually go ahead and fit the frames onto the glass and the runners onto the glass. It's the same product that Ford used from the factory. A lot of guys try and urethane the glass on, Sikaflex it, silicone it. It's not the correct method, and with that method you've only got one shot of getting it right, and it tends to be messy and not always go right. So we're going to show you the correct method today. So we'll run you through that in the next few steps. Right, now first step is going to be getting your setting tape ready. For the most part, these Mustangs all use 2mm thick setting tape. It comes in rolls. We've got it available by the metre. It's usually only about $10 or so. What you're going to go and do, it starts off 40mm wide like this. All we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, I've pre-folded this already, but we're just going to finish this last bit. You're just going to fold it in half into a V shape. So that holds its shape like this. Our next process is actually going to be fitting this on the glass. So we'll move this out of the way. When you're doing this, always start with the top rail, the stainless one, if it's a similar process in other cars. Always start with this. If you're going to put the runner on first, you may find that the stainless doesn't come far enough down, so you're going to start with this. All we're going to do, we're going to go and sit this in place. We're going to mask it in place. I've got black masking tape, but if you've got some clear sticky tape, that'll be perfect. Just need to hold it in a couple of places. That way you don't need a second set of hands. You can do it on your own. So we'll go ahead, we'll get this put in place. Alright, in this corner here, what we're going to have to do is fold this over. If you pleat this, you can knead it so that you don't get it doubling up at all, and it stays nice and flat all the way around the corner. So as long as you've got it nice and neat like this, that'll be perfect. Now what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to get some kerosene on a rag, and we're just going to wet this down. We're just going to wipe the setting tape, get that nice and shiny and wet. So you can see that's nice and wet through there. So if you bring this across, we've got our frame here, we're going to sit it in place. Right, now that we've got this sitting in place, we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to grab our rubber mallet and we're going to knock this on. You've got the option of masking it up. We often just use a nice soft cloth to go and put it on. Now, tip for putting these frames on, you've obviously got double the surface area here that you do here. So my suggestion is always start with this least area of resistance, which is going to be this shorter back edge. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to knock this side on, and then what we're going to do is we're going to work our way along and push down, and then come back to this edge again, so that it's all squared up and it's sitting where it needs to be. So now we've done that, we're going to come back and just make sure that this is sitting the way it needs to be. Alright, that's sitting beautifully. So now what we can go ahead and do, leave this additional setting tape on there. Don't trim this off yet, because what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll fit the runner onto this next and make sure that we've got our heights correct. Once we've got that, then we can go and trim the excess off. Right, now that we've got our frame on the top, that's sitting nicely where we need it to. So we're going to go ahead and get the runner on. We've already, again, gone ahead and pre-bent this up. So what we're going to do, we're going to sit this one upside down. You don't necessarily have to tape this one because it'll just sit in place while you're doing it. We'll grab our rag again with the kerosene on and give this a good wipe. You can wipe the underside of this. You don't have to though. It just tends to make it a little bit slippery. So when you're doing these, you're actually going to have to knock this in on a slight angle because it's tapering. So you're going to have to try and work that through as you're getting it on. So that's sitting where we need that now. Grab our mallet again. Making sure, of course, I shouldn't have to say it, but make sure you don't hit the runner there, because if you bend this, your regulator's not going to roll. So work on this bit by bit. It is easy with a second set of hands. My second set of hands is behind the camera at the moment filming this. So what we're going to do, you can see if we come in close here, this is close, but it needs to come in just a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stand this on its end, and we're just going to knock the runner down a little bit more to get this to sit where we need it. Just a couple of gentle taps is all that'll need. Now, this runner's, we're just going to have to finesse this to line the holes up. On the original ones, the holes will line up beautifully. These are reproduction frames and reproduction runners. Some of them do have an issue with the holes not lining up perfectly, so you may find, get this where you need it, but you may find you just need to re-drill the holes in the actual runner and re-tap them because they're not quite lining up. We've done a few of these in the past and it's a recurring problem. Apart from that, I cannot fault these reproduction ones, so we'll go ahead, we'll get these holes lined up, we'll get the screws in, we'll show you how to do that in a minute. Alright, now that we've got these on, just a quick tip for a few of you. You might find that the holes, as I mentioned, don't line up quite right. These ones weren't too bad, so we went through, we've closed it up. We've actually just got one of the big quick grip clamps, so you can actually line that up there and just help close it up. What it means is you're not having to beat on the frame too hard to close it up. You can just squash it just a little bit more to get that gap tightened up. So if you come in through here and have a good look, you can see that the holes do line up really nicely. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we only ever put stainless steel screws back in here. We've got some nice little 4mm stainless steel countersunk screws here, so we'll use that. Look, these do have water run down and they're going to end up getting surface rust, so don't use original ones if you've got them. Go down to the local nut and bolt shop, go get yourself some stainless ones. It's only going to be a couple of dollars. So we'll just go ahead. You can Loctite these. It's not necessary, but you can Loctite them if you want to. We're not going to in this instance because it won't need it. This particular car is not really going to get driven very much, so we're not too worried about it. Alright, so there now in. So that's this job basically done now. What we're going to do, we're going to wait until tomorrow. We've got a nice warm day coming. The setting tape, when you leave this in the sun, it tacks off. What it's going to do, the kerosene's already made it tacky, but by leaving this in the sun and letting it warm up in the heat of the day, it's going to cause it to tack off even more. If it's going to move, it's going to do it then. Once it's cooled down, we can then go along, get a nice sharp razor blade, and we'll trim the rest off. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that next. After you've done that, job done. You can fit these straight back into the car. You don't need to wait any longer. Right, we've had these out in the sun for a couple of hours. It's been a nice warm day today. The idea, as I sort of mentioned before, is just purely to warm the glass and the frame up, which will in turn warm the setting tape up, which is going to make it really tacky. Job done. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab a nice sharp razor blade here. We're just going to be careful, don't dig this in, and make sure you do use a new razor blade. Believe it or not, dull razor blades, if you slip, will scratch the glass more than a nice sharp razor blade will. So we're just going to run this all the way along the edge now. In the top corner, go ahead and remove the whole lot, but what we're going to do is we're just going to press down on it. We're not actually going to score this the same as we did with the last section. Trim that off. Pop this over carefully. Again, we're just going to press down in the corner here. Get rid of that excess. Give the bottom edge a quick trim. We're pretty much good to go. The only other thing we'll do is just in the very top edge here, just to neaten this up, we've got a plastic chisel stick. You can use a paddle pop stick. Anything you've got will be fine, as long as it's not metal, of course. And what we're going to do is we're just going to knead this down into the top corner there. With a piece of the offcut that you've got, give that a quick tear. And we're going to push that into the top corner there. Because this is it's warm and it's malleable, it'll actually form really nicely. So just carefully work that into the top, all the way through there. Now I grab the kerosene at this stage because the kerosene is going to help make this a little bit tacky again, as we did before. So we'll just wet that down, and again just continue to work it in there. You can see that's nice and smooth through the top. Grab the razor blade again, just trim off around here to neaten this up. Wipe off around there. Now I'd actually let this dry now, because the kerosene is going to keep this tacky and it's going to be wet. You're going to end up with black everywhere. Let this tack off again, leave it in the sun for an hour or two, and then you can just use some regular glass cleaner. So at this stage, we're basically done. So that's this process. In our next video, we'll show you walking through how to do the vent window assembly. We've got that coming up shortly. So look, if you need any of the glass, we keep all of the glass for the Mustangs in stock, as well as a heap of other makes and models. We've got the setting tape in stock that you're going to need as well. So feel free to give us a call. Our number's 1300 442 000, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.